Well, two busy downtown streets are about to become one-way streets. It's all in an effort to make way for patios and bike lanes. Brissa Bradfield got the chance to sit down with city planner Matt Moss about the project before construction begins today.
Well, good morning, everyone. You will soon see some new projects starting in downtown Cleveland, not too far from today. Joining me in studio is Matt Moss, the senior strategist for Thriving Communities. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Good. Well, we have a pretty big project. This is going to affect a lot of drivers, and things are going to look a bit different. Talk about where it's going and what's going on.
That's right. In the next week or so on Prospect and Huron Roads downtown, right around the sports stadiums, the Guardian Stadium and the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, we'll be converting those streets into what's called a one-way pair. So Prospect will be one-way westbound and Huron will be converted to one-way eastbound. A big reason why we're doing this is if you've ever driven down to the sports games on a weekday or weekend, you've probably seen the police directing traffic in a similar configuration. And so we decided, well, what if we made this a permanent condition? What opportunities would that create? And not only will it help traffic flow in a more predictable way, especially during big events, but it essentially lets us cut these roads in half in terms of space for cars, and then we can reprogram that space for other uses. So that'll be a bike facility. We'll have a bike lane on that street now, and it also lets us use that space to enhance the pedestrian experience. And so what we mean by that is we'll be able to work with restaurants and businesses there to expand their patios. We'll be able to do more with the sidewalk space. We'll be able to use that curb space to put in street furniture and artwork and other things.
So what is kind of the hope of, doing these adjustments to downtown? What's the hope for the city in the future then?
Yeah, the primary goal is recognizing that if you were to go, like say we were out there right now today, we would see a pretty wide street with not a lot of really anything on it. And partly why that is because these roads are really wide and a lot of that space is only usable if you're in a car. And that's okay, but we recognize that we can still have enough space for people driving. If we make this change, we can then use that other space in ways that serve more people throughout more hours of the day than just during sporting events. And so our sports teams are near and dear to us. We want to make sure that you can still get to these events any which way you choose. But during the other hours when there isn't a sports game going on or before and after the sports game, that space along the curb, along the sidewalk will just be more usable and hopefully more joyful.
And there are several areas downtown that could benefit from something like this, I'm sure. Why these two specific streets? Yeah,
that's a great question. It's part of the broader vision the mayor has called the Shore to Core to Shore strategy. You've probably heard of this in relation to Bedrock's project, all the activity that's going on the lakefront, and the downtown section is that core part. And so projects like this is just the start of many. It's also part of our mobility strategy, which we just adopted in April of this year called Cleveland Moves. That's a 5-year mobility plan, which looks over the next 3 years to do a rapid implementation, 50 miles of high comfort, low stress bicycle and pedestrian facilities. And so this is just the start of that. And you'll be able to expect more of that coming over the next year or so, and even the next 2 years, to try to add more of these mobility options downtown and just create more space along our sidewalks downtown that people can use in more ways.
And this isn't just something that's going on here in Cleveland. It's actually something that's been going on across the country. Many big cities have been doing things like this. Are there any other areas downtown that you guys have been thinking, or it's, on the plate to maybe add?
Yeah, so partly why, again, we started here is we see this area as one of downtown's core entertainment districts. Yeah. Another one is Playhouse Square. There's been a lot of work over the past decade or so in Playhouse Square with the chandelier and the plaza there. So I think residents and visitors can expect more of this work to extend in that direction, and then ultimately to get to the lake. Because what we're trying to do is not just connect these areas where there are businesses or where we want to see businesses expand or grow or occupy storefronts, but also connecting the riverfront to the lake. So that's the common thread between these projects.
And staying on the topic of the storefronts there, have you guys talked to area businesses? Are they excited for this move, for this change?
Yeah, we're working closely with Downtown Cleveland Inc. And with their partnership, they've helped us engage some of the businesses in the area. They've already begun to reach out to me and others at City Hall asking for opportunities or to learn more about how they can expand their patios into this space that we're creating, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, in other cities, they've done this to great success. Oftentimes, the space that is occupied by a restaurant patio is more valuable to the city in terms of just revenue generated by the business than we could ever make charging for parking on those streets. Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, oftentimes during games, parking is totally restricted. While we are consuming some parking spaces in order to make this change to create more space for more uses, ultimately our goal is to have the parking available even during sporting events because the traffic flows so much more easily. That means we'll have a lot more flexibility and ability for people to use this space in various different ways.
And now staying on the topic of that traffic flow there, well, first of all, what are the dates? Do we have an estimated start date, completion date? What's that looking like?
Yeah, so when the work starts, we expect it to take 5 to 7 days. It's called a quick build project. So we're not repaving the street. We're just erasing the striping, putting new striping down, and then adding a lot of the flex posts and delineators to separate the space. Weather dependent, it should start in the next week or so.
Right, so we'll see. I know we have some rain in the forecast, thanks to Matt. So is there a certain thing, anything that drivers should know passing through there? Are they told to avoid the area? What's going on?
Yeah, there will be what's called a maintenance of traffic plan put in place. There'll be lots of signage going up in the next week or so directing drivers how to move. But essentially, it'll be a one-way street. So if you're on Huron, keep going east. If you're on Prospect, keep going west. East 4th will still be two-way, so that'll provide connectivity between the two. And yeah, it should be. There'll be some growing pains as we make this adjustment, but change can be difficult. But it's important for us to explore these options to create more mobility choices for everyone.
And then let's talk money real quick. How is this being funded? Is there a price tag that's been put on it yet?
Yeah, it's being funded through the city's general fund. This is part of a foray the mayor's been making into funding more of these mobility projects with city dollars. The budget is right around the $250,000 to $300,000 range, which compared to some of our larger capital projects, which are easily millions of more dollars and take many more months, this is relatively quick and cheap compared to some of the other major investments we make in our streets.
Yeah, quick and cheap, and it's going to have definitely a massive impact for anyone traveling, whether by bike, by foot, or by car. So I think it'll be really great. But I do want to switch gears here. June is National Safety Month with this construction project happening downtown, among many others all throughout the city. Just a reminder for drivers when they're traveling past construction zones.
Yeah, be aware, go slow, and that's generally our goal as a city. A couple years ago, we adopted a Vision Zero action plan. Vision Zero is an international effort to reduce traffic deaths and serious injuries to zero. It may sound like a big goal. Other cities, even in the United States, have been able to achieve this so far, and so the name of the game is speed and separation. That's partly why we're doing this project, because even though we won't be able to eliminate all crashes in the city, drivers and really all road users who are traveling at a slow enough speed means that they're likely to walk away from a crash relatively unharmed, and that's the goal, save lives.
Yeah, we want to let all of those workers get home to their families safe and sound. All right.
Right.
Matt Moss, Senior Strategist for Thriving Communities, thank you so much for joining us in studio this morning.
Thanks for having me, Brissa.
Thanks.